Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the second half. We're going to have a panel about 35-40 minutes. A very distinguished panel, as you will hear in a minute. I'd like to present the executives and the leaders we have on stage. Let me present Tanja Vainio to you. Tanja Vainio is country president for Schneider Electric Switzerland and part of Schneider Electric's DACH executive management team since March 2022. Tanja Vainio also serves as member of the board of directors at Franke Group, and before joining Schneider Electric, Tanja Vainio held various leadership positions at ABB. Most recently, she was the global responsible in robotics for the automotive segment. Welcome Marion Leslie. She is the head financial information at SIX and a member of the SIX executive board. As head financial information, Marion leads the SIX global data business, serving financial institutions worldwide with critical data and insights to support their clients. Marion was named one of the 100 most influential women in European finance by Financial News 2 years ago. Andreas Staubli, welcome Andreas, is CEO of PricewaterhouseCoopers. Andreas has worked in domestic and international corporate structuring, financial service taxation, mergers and acquisitions, IPOs, tax governance and worldwide compliance engagement. He also led the tax, legal, and HR of PricewaterhouseCoopers Switzerland for 8 years. He is in this position since July 2018. And last but not least, Martin Jara. He is CEO of Switzerland of the insurance company Helvetia. Martin has worked for the Winterthur Group, for Suva, and for Allianz Suisse. At Allianz Suisse, he held different management positions. At first, he was responsible for market management and corporate development, and then as Chief Sales Officer. In May 2020, Martin joined Helvetia Insurance as CEO Switzerland and member of the group executive board. So welcome everybody. You know, I have... Thank you. After having heard a lot in the first half, I have a little bit the feeling that I have to crush the party. Because when we proceed at this speed, in terms of including women to higher management positions, then it will take 100 years to reach gender equality. So Tanja, the speed is a snail's pace.
Yeah, well, if I look back maybe 10 years of advance, I think, first of all, we've made progress. If I look at my personal career 10 years ago, when I would attend any C-level meetings, I could calculate the females with one hand, fingers of one hand, and today that's not the situation. Even if you look at the statistics, it's not the situation. But there's a lot of work that needs to be done. I think it's important to realize that the work is not one size fits for all, because if I look at the different branches we have, or different sectors, we have very different issues, I would say. So, for example, in banking, in insurance, they are extremely good in attractive young females, young talents, but they are not so good in retaining them. There seems to be a glass ceiling. You have 40% of lower management that are females, and if you look at upper management, the figure drops to 25 to 20, so there's a dramatic decrease along the way. And then in the industry that I represent, we have a little bit opposite problem. We don't have a lot of females. We have in total 25%, but we are extremely good in retaining them. So if I look at lower management position, we have 19, and then from lower management to higher management, 16. So there's a drop of only 3%. So I think each of our sectors, we kind of fight different battles in a way. And in the industry for a long time, it was not the sexiest place to work. But I think there's hope, because I firmly believe, and I believe that everyone in this room will agree with me when I say that climate change is the biggest challenge that we have ahead of us as society, as individual people, as companies. And that's where industry and energy industry, we hold the keys for innovation, we hold a lot of answers. So I firmly believe that we have a good chance to accelerate the speed of getting young females joining industry.
We can accelerate the speed, but can you just share with us what it is like in these more diverse teams, very concretely? What changed to 10 years ago? Is it easier to find solutions? Do you see the benefit in terms of income, in terms of the bottom line? What is it really that makes the impact?
I think what makes impact, it's the corporate culture. And I think what we see in the industry, that females are getting much more selective. So there are companies that are extremely good in that, and they are extremely good walking the talk. And there are companies that do a lot of talking, but not so much action. And you see now that what is happening is that female talents are actually choosing what they really want to work. And I think if you come to an age like me, I'm still 25 plus, but I think at a certain part of your life, you also start to think, where do I really want to work? And part of the reasons, honestly, that I joined Schneider Electric is that we have globally on a supervisory board 50% females, and on our executive board 41%, and of all the leadership percent 30%. So I said, okay, that sounds interesting, and I think it's something that also keeps you there. So I think it is actually corporate culture, and there are not a lot of females in the industry. So if I go to a company, I talk a little bit, so how is it like there? And if I hear from my peers that, yeah, you love it, then I'm like, yeah, I'm interested. So I think a lot has to do, what was also mentioned earlier today, it is the corporate culture, and that is the best advertisement that you can have to attract talent, female and men, by the way.
Marion, Leslie, you also have a very international background. How do you look at what's going on with female in higher management position in Switzerland compared to where you came from a couple of years ago?
So yes, I'm from the UK, and I use data for this. I wasn't in Switzerland 10 years ago, but clearly there has been a lot of advances, and the data would show us, the Schilling report came out, showed that the executive levels have increased 10 percentage points just in the last 2 years, only to 24%, but that's still quite an acceleration of change, I would say. Our own index, we have an index for the SPI that monitors gender equality, launched it 2 years ago. It has 3 more companies in now than it did 2 years ago. Clearly, the pace of change could be greater. But what I have seen work is in other countries where voluntary codes or hard targets, that does drive change. So just recently, the FTSE 350 in the UK, it now has no all-male boards, but 10 years ago it had 150 or more than 150 of the boards out of the 350 had no women at all. There are now no all-male boards in the FTSE 350. And that is a major change. And now you have, but still in the FTSE 250, there are more CEOs called John than there are women. So it shows that the frontier is shift. It's easier to address the board positions than it is the executive. And we were talking about giving advice for parents. Clearly John is more likely to be a CEO than a woman right now. So you have to think about those things. It's the executive frontier that's the problem.
We're going to talk about this in a minute. Andreas, Staubli, would like to include you to the discussion. Can you tell us one moment in the last 3 or 4 years since you became CEO when you felt, wow, something is changing?
Good question. I think generally, there's the first thing is, I think, the question around diversity and the value out of it, whether this is female, male, but also very broadly. Also now speaking for us, we have 85 nationalities in our company. So that is really adding a lot of value. And that is clear to management. I think there is also more and more the clear understanding we cannot afford to lose so many female talents just out of the labor market. And that was not the case before. And over the last 2-3 years in the discussions, that has become imminent. And I think we achieved a lot when looking back over the last 10 years with equal treatment, proportional promotion. That's not the issue, but still we have a leaking pipeline. And that's the absolute frustrating kind of topic we are dealing with, and where there is no easy solution.
Yeah, your industry has the biggest leaky pipeline, I guess.
Yes, I mean, definitely we have a too high leaking pipeline, and that hurts. And we have to find new ways how to deal with that.
But when we talked before, you told me that you made it easier also for women to become partner, for example. Can you elaborate?
Clearly. Maybe two things. I think one thing, and I have also here 2 female leaders, but have a background from more an international background. And for me, one of my kind of events where I realized, I'd never thought about that, is when a Swiss female talent told me, Andy, you should stop talking about role models where there is an international background, where the environment is more used to a working mom and a full working mom. I have really to deal at home, and it's not the husband who is the problem, but the environment, the broader families, which is really a challenge. And I think that shows the societal problem we have, which is also why we are slow, and because it takes much more work to change that. But I think we need really to focus on that. And for us, the change was then, we said we need really to work with the role models who are Swiss also, besides the other ones, and then also provide mentorship and the coach, equip also the coach to talk to these individuals, to help them talk through the challenges, because we can always talk about the rosy stories, but we all know this is challenging day to day, how to overcome that, how to manage, and there are different recipes which apply to different persons very differently. So I think that is for me one of the key learnings also, that we have to have very open discussions and really provide that support by coach and mentors, and not just the organization. I think you were perfectly right with the corporate structure. We can do a lot, but my learning was it's not enough. Mm-hmm. There is so much on the very personal kind of relationship we have to invest in.
So we have to talk more. It's not the society and the culture I want to talk about right now, but the organization. Martin, Jara, the insurance company is not really female-dominated. I think we can say that, right? It's a lot of males in the industry overall, I guess. So what did you do in order to encourage women to higher management positions?
I think you phrased it right. It's not that we are very man-dominated, but it is right what you said. We have this problem of the leaking pipeline. So we are hiring at the moment at Helvetia more female talents than male talents. So we managed this, but our problem is between 30 and 40 that we lose a lot of this potential. So we have 50-50 in the base, but then we have the problem of the leaking pipeline, and there I really much liked what Anna said, and that's not a question of to talk about with female about their circumstances at home. It's just to make this career between 30 and 40 equal opportunity for both. So you can provide there as an employer, you can provide the tools, the instruments, like top sharing, like flexible work, like the possibility not to be present all the time. So you can do this, And at the other side, we have to work on the mindset. And the mindset you can't do as an employer or as a politician, to work on the mindset, on the background in the society. I'm really happy about what I saw today. Today in the morning, there were some 100 people, I think, in the train station. I think that's a good piece of work, because we always discuss between us. So same. We are all managers, so we know what we have to say, how we have to behave, what you can say, what you shouldn't say. It's clear. But in the train station, there everybody passes there. So this is where we have to go. We really have to discuss with people, with younger people also, what are our fixed understandings of gender and roles. And I think this is really something that matters, that bothers me, not just as somebody who has a certain responsibility in a company. This bothers me also as a father of two girls in their early 20s, mid 20s, because it's very relevant. Because I don't want to see to drop them out of the labor market, because they have talents. So. And we have to provide the flexibility.
So you have increased the share of females in the group management at Helvetia, right?
Yeah, in the Swiss management board, we are also about 40%, like you said it before, and we started from a zero.
Same question. What's different?
It's just better. It's just.
What is better?
I mean, the insurance industry, we have a lot of different jobs, but if you look at the profiles, it's not totally diverse from the profile. So if you then also bring it down to just be males in the same age, and all come from St. Gallen normally, so that you don't have very different perspectives. And now we are 3 and 4. And you see, we have different perspectives in there, but the perspectives shouldn't come just from male and female. It really should come from different backgrounds, from different life models.
But Peter, can I come back to the data on this? The data says that companies with diverse boards and management teams outperform by 15%. And in other countries, the reason that they introduced mandatory reporting and/or quotas was because one of the root causes of the financial crisis was lack of diverse thinking. So if you want to know what's different, there's 2 proper examples.
But was there research that the mixed teams have really increased the turnout by 15%?
Yes.
Yes.
And I think actually, if I may say, I think very often the discussion is man or woman, which exposes a zero-sum game. I lose, you win, or other way around. And I think we really should talk about better performance. Because if a company has a better performance, then everyone wins. It really doesn't have to be a lose-lose situation. And if there's a better performance, you have growth, you have more opportunities. So what is better? I would say that the financial numbers are better. So I would be super open about it. We heard today how important it is to talk about money. I think here as well, I think we need to put the money on the table. And I think we need to talk about financial performance and take the discussion a little bit away about man or woman, because for me it implies a zero-sum game. And I think if company does financially well, everyone wins.
But for me, I think, it's interesting, the discussion here now on this topic of diversity, the value of diversity and female. I think we are over that, which is the positive thing. But
Clearly not.
You're not over it.
If you go to any
who is over it?
Would you like your business to perform 15% better? They would say yes.
Exactly. No, exactly. I think it's so clear, that there is better performance, better financial performance, better customer service, whatever, it's kind of whatever the company is in. I think, as said, the more diverse, female and male, and different backgrounds, different education, different kind of regional backgrounds. It's clear that adds value to the business, to the investors. So, but how do we get more female talents up really to these management positions? And I think that's where I really feel, what do we have to do to make that work, And there are, as you also said, multi-dimensions, it's like the attractiveness of profession, In some professions it's less of an issue. Financial services it's maybe, bigger issue. We have also, if I look into our company, we have areas where it's easier to find female talents who like to work in that and others less. So we have also there a job to do to kind of talk about the attractiveness of these jobs at universities, at schools, to really make us attractive in that space. So if I talk about us, tax and legal, you know, it's easy. We can even find 60, 70, 80% of people. In transactions and in audit, the attractiveness of the profession for female talents is a challenge today. And we have to convince talents at universities that this is the same thing. So it's like in the same with engineering, you know, and then we all kind of fish in the same ponds of very few female talents. I mean, that's the issue, really. That's one of the issues.
And that's where we have to work together.
Exactly. Yeah.
Marion, Leslie, I think we all agree. It's a nice world. We're making progress. How does a leader like you ensure that on lower management positions, females are actually getting the jobs? You know, that it's not just a thing of like the top level that knows what to do, but also the people who hire new folks, that they really do it.
Well, I think it starts with objective setting and expectations and the kinds of questions you ask as a leader, the attention you put to it. But it's also, you know, I think we sometimes tend to focus on, and rightly, you know, recruitment practices, shortlisting, panels, attractiveness of the job specification, what's asked for, all that is absolutely right. But I think if you're going to move talent up through the pipeline, to me, it comes down to those, what I would call micro decisions, those little decisions you make or that you role model every day that cumulatively make a massive difference to how someone's career can be perceived. So who sits on the panel? Who participates in the high-profile project? Who presents the results to management? Who gets to speak at the town hall? What is the balance of voice in your management meetings? I've started a little tally, started on the back of an envelope in our executive board. Who was presenting, from which locations, and which gender were they? And it started off as, today the stats are this. Now they want to know what the stats are. Apparently I'm the only one that can count, but it's another question. But, you know, you just have to highlight this stuff and show that it matters. Because if you never have females presenting to the executive board, then guess what? They're going to find it very difficult to know who they are and then appoint them to the next role. And it's just all that little stuff that seems like nothing, but actually really adds up.
Have you written down
the culture? Because the culture guides a lot of how we make these small decisions. What is acceptable in the culture? What is rewarding in the culture? So I think it boils back down to a lot of what is the corporate culture.
I like the connotation that you said you do a statistic. Because to wait for cultural change, I mean, you can wait for everything you want to wait. But if you want to make it happen, you have to do some statistics. You have to have the transparency. In the moment where we started to calculate if we really want to have 50% of female talents in our middle management, and we are not by far not there, we are 26 or something, and we said, okay, we have to in the promotion pipeline, we have to fix it. And in the moment where we put some transparency in it, and top management knew that at least once a year we do this big statistic, a whole day, and we discuss about our talents, and they will see they didn't do it. We doubled it. We are still not there at the level where we have to be, but the internal promotion of female talents doubled just by the transparency. So I like this thing that you say the statistics and you have to play it back, and if you do it constantly and everybody knows that you will do it again, then something will move. That's not the whole thing, but I think it's not just talking, waiting for cultural change, it's really make it transparent. And in my opinion, at least, if it doesn't move when it is transparent, you have to put some objectives on it also. It's just the only way to move the organization towards it.
So, Andreas, do you have objectives for your like lower management managers when they hire people? And what if they fail
Yes. So we have targets for the hiring process, and generally it's 50-50, but then we also look, as said, what is kind of the pond of talents, but also there, you need to think broader. That's the other thing, where management needs to be forced to look for talents outside maybe the ordinary kind of educational process. We have that proportional promotion, that we really look at a certain level, when we have the promotion, that we have at least the same ratio or higher. In tendency, we say it's not enough to have equal. We rather need to accelerate and have more female, because we know we lose more again later. And we have also clear aspirational targets. And then it's about the consequence management, and is what you said. You need to have the whole organization management to understand they mean it really. They take it seriously. And yes, this leads to a discussion. You have not done your job properly. And this means your performance rating in that respect will suffer from that, rightly so. But I think that's what you need to really move the whole organization.
I would like to talk about this leaky pipeline for Swiss women and then bring Tanja back in. We have prepared a slide from the Gender Intelligence Index, and there's a lot of numbers. I would like you to focus on the Swiss women. You see here in the little bit lighter red, on the non-management level, we have 31%, and then at the top, we have 10%. It's the share of women who make it to the top, the Swiss women. So the leak in the number is 21%. If you look at the non-Swiss women, it is 6%. So coming from a northern country, Finland, what do we have to do?
Yeah.
Give us some advice.
Well, this is, of course, this all or nothing question, but, and today we've actually had a lot of discussion about this topic as well. I think what we had not discussed today, I think we talk about daycare. I have 3 children, so I know what the cost of a private daycare is, and I fully share the opinion here that it is short-term money, but it's painful, I think, to many of in the short term. So that is certainly one. But I think the other one is, because we talk a lot about how can we have more part-time opportunities. So how can we offer more part-time opportunities? But we don't discuss so much, why do we need part-time opportunities? Why is it? And I think part of that is the daycare, but part of that is the schooling system is very difficult for both parents to work, because the children come home during the lunchtime. And then on Monday, the school stops at 2 o'clock, and on Wednesday at 4 o'clock, and on Thursday at 1 o'clock. So how can you fit that into agenda? So I think we also need to look at how can we provide more of these Tagesschule opportunities. I was shocked when I came from Finland, because in Finland, you have the, before the school, you can take the kids half an hour earlier, and after school, you have after school 1 hour so that the parents can pick them up at 5 o'clock. And I think we need to start to look at the support mechanism for females to work, because I truly agree with the statement that this age between 30 and 40, when you have your kids, it's truly crucial for your career. So what are the support mechanisms for men and women to have an equal opportunity and families where both people can and both adults can really work? So I think this is what we have to look at. What are the support mechanisms today, and what are they in the future? And looking at that with my 3 children, I tend to believe that this whole schooling system and preschool is actually one of the keys to success, where I would wish much more discussion than we have today.
But changing the education system a little bit, and it's also changing the culture, how we think about it a little bit. We've talked about culture in terms of women going back to the job earlier after they have given birth. What if the culture doesn't change? No, I mean, honestly.
Then we are still
honestly,
on this.
What have we seen?
I think then we are still on this road 300 years, but I think there start to be enough movement. I think today, for example, is again one of these, for me, a very, very visual signs that there is enough movement. So I think what we need to do as leaders is to make sure that we work together, irregardless if we are a customer and supplier or competitor and competitor. I think we need to put that all aside and look how we drive the movement together, because every movement starts with an individual. I love this story about Indian toilets. So we definitely have these toilets in Switzerland. And I think it starts by us all agreeing, hey, we have a problem. We got to solve this. And then we need individuals like us here today that, in Finnish we say we take the sleeves up and we start working on it. So I think this is what it needs, us coming together, irregardless of we are suppliers, customers, competitors, what we are different, but say, we want to change that. And really starting with events like today.
Absolutely.
And taking it to the next level. There is no one else who is going to solve it, it's only us. So.
Absolutely. I was just being a little bit provocative because I think here in the biggest city of Switzerland, it's more clear than where I come from, than in the canton of Schwyz, in Murtertal, and maybe in St. Gallen. No, it's a serious question because everyone thought Trump would not have a chance. Everyone thought, also me. And he found something that people didn't want to change culture in terms of being more modern. So how can we teach the people maybe in the furthest part of Canton Schwyz to come along, and if we don't lose them, because otherwise the pressure from the family is going to be so big that it's going to be so hard for women. What if the culture doesn't change, Marion?
I don't have an answer, but what I can point to you is the counterpoint. So in this country, it is totally accepted that men work part-time, that they take regular time out for military service. That's not only seen as a disadvantage to their careers at all. In fact, it's a huge advantage. When I arrived here, I realized there were two major defects to my professional network in Switzerland. One was the fact that I had never done military service. And the second was that I'd never worked at UBS. If those... As a woman in financial services in Switzerland, those were two major disadvantages. However, it just shows you that from an attitude perspective, that is totally accepted, it's part of the fabric, it's seen as valuable, as an advantage. Now just imagine if parenting and females and what they do and the time that they take out, however short or long it is, was seen as a value to the organization. And that almost breaks your mind in terms of what difference that would make.
I'm almost convinced. I would like to, when we prepared this, I thought, can I bring in the male perspective here? Or are there, is it appropriate? So I talked to all the leaders before, and I kind of think it's important also to talk about what happens to the men in all of this. Martin, Jara.
I'm fine.
No.
Everywhere.
I'm sure. You're absolutely fine. I can be a little bit more specific.
Yeah, please.
How in a used to be male-dominated world with male domination in society and everywhere in all institutions, how do we explain a really ambitious guy who sees, same qualification, we take the woman? How do we explain this to him?
Yeah, I really don't see I don't see this problem. We are so far from this problem at the moment, because I talked to some people in some industries when I prepared to this, and they said,
absolutely have to ask this question.
Yeah, you
because it's really an issue.
You already asked in the pre-discussions.
Yeah.
You know my opinion. I mean, honestly, I really think diversity includes everybody, men and women. So for me, it's not the question if it is a man or a woman, and we have to say black or white, and yes or no. That's not the question. I really think that if we have diverse teams, and there is also evidence on this, we exploit much more potential in our companies, and we also exploit much more potential in our country. Because we live from skills, we live from innovation, we live from working together. And explaining man, if you really have to explain it, it's just about getting the full potential of everybody we have in this country, and we have a lot of skilled people, and we have to exploit the potential to get the result for Switzerland out of it. In the education, we really did the rapprochement, so we have more or less the same ratio of students, female and male, not always in the directions or in the specifications you need it for all the jobs, but in general we have this skill potential. We have to exploit it. And I think we are really far away from the question that as a man you can't proceed. So I really don't see this.
Okay, before we take some questions from the audience, are we really that far away?
That far away from?
From that men feel discriminated sometimes?
I think, I heard the comment who we are putting a lot of emphasis on female, on the progression. And I think it's good that when I hear that, I think it's a good sign, because it has to be a topic. It has to be at the mind of the male, just through all the ranks. I think from that perspective, that is good. It has to be ensured that there is an equal treatment. It has to be also communicated very clearly and openly that diversity is a decision criteria. It's an element of value for a position. It's not that I have a female and a male and they are equal, I prefer the female for no good reason. I look at then also diversity as an element. And if I can kind of broaden diversity by that female leader who is kind of on a similar level, then I prefer the female. If my team, whatever, is consisting of all female, then I prefer the male. So I think there we have to have that discussion and open and transparent kind of communication. And it's good to have an intense discussion with also the male talents through their career. But I hear it also more, whether this is within our organization or with clients. And I said, it's good like that.
Marion, you want to react to this?
Back to the stats. If the government targets are reached, so 2031, 20% female on the executive board, then it's 80% likely that a man's going to get the role. So,
yeah.
But I think the dialogue is indeed important. I like what you said, Andy. In a sense that we actually run a training course, especially for the first-line managers, because they might have this discussion, and we call it how to run a difficult dialogue. Yep. Because I think whether the comment is justified or not, we can argue about that, but it is a comment, it's a feeling, and it's part of the inclusive culture that you take that feeling seriously and you work with it, and you exactly like you said, Andy. I like your answer, and that is actually one of the courses that we really value at Schneider Electric, and it's for primarily also how do you run difficult dialogue with men, because this comment exists. They might be justified or not, and we might be far away or not, but these are feelings. And it's part of the caring culture. It's part of trust and respect that you take the feeling, you have a constructive dialogue about it, and where you work through it.
I think yes, but we have, for example, about 400 to 450 leadership roles, team leaders, such roles. So I think we shouldn't focus the discussion just on the top level, because our problem is the pipeline. And the pipeline starts with a first leadership position and with a second leadership position. And if you have 400 and we have a normal fluctuation in this, you have really a lot of leadership and team leader roles to recruit or to replace. So there you have all the possibilities. And our struggle at the moment is really not to deny men because of women. Our struggle is, do we really have enough labor potential to recruit, to really have our leadership roles taken up by people with the right skills? And if we focus on this, I'm absolutely sure that there's enough space for women and men in Switzerland. If you look also on the demographic development, we will see the next years. So there will be a lot of space also for men there. I'm absolutely sure.
So we definitely open it up for 2-3 questions. Please, that's what I learned in the US at these events. They always said, please ask a question and don't make comments. So if you please could ask a question and tell us who you want to have the question answered with a little bit faster. Thank you very much. Who? Yeah.
Hi. So my question is actually for Peter. I want to ask you whether you ever thought about justifying to women why in so many years of history they didn't have the chance to get the job.
You know, I had to play the role I played here to be a little bit provocative. So I'm not in danger to be on the wrong side of history. So.
It might be a good opportunity with so many in the room.
Thank you.
And I'm happy to say that probably half of them are from Schneider Electric. So this is how I think we should give them an applause, the brave man who came here.
Other questions?
Hi, I'm Bettina. I work at PwC, and I have a question about long-term financial stability for women, because we heard some great stories today, and I would like to ask the question to you, Mary. How can we connect the dots that we make sure that women are having a long-term sustainable financial life until they die?
That's a heavy onus to put. But actually, I think there's some really, I mean, what we've done today and what's at the Hauptbahnhof and the kind of transparency that's there, the work that you talked about in terms of the important conversations with children, girls, boys, parents. I'll plug the Swiss Financial Museum. We bring school children in every day, every week. Education is obviously key, and I think the curriculum has got to be part of it. We're obviously putting a huge onus on schools here, both for the system and how they make it easier for working parents, but financial literacy has to be part of it. It is those early decisions.
And I think that is probably in one of the most kind of thought-provoking discussion today. And I think this is also something where we can really discuss a lot more, that what is the financial dependency or independency and what does it mean and where does it bring and how to get there. So I thank you for the question. Sorry, I kind of continue on that. I think that is probably something that we all take with us today, that how can we do that even better than we have done so far, and how do we make that part of this diversity discussion? Because so far, to my taste at least, it really hasn't played that big of a role.
Do we have questions from the online community?
No, the floor is open.
Not at the moment. Then we would take 2 more, I guess.
Hi, my name is Simi Scherer. I am an executive search consultant. I have a question for the panel and actually for the wider audience. In the US, there's an equal compensation law that helps align and bring back women who've been out of work on maternity or, whatever the external factors, and bring them back into the game and give them an equal chance to level back on their compensation. What are your thoughts on that? And do you think here, specifically in Switzerland, something is being done behind the scenes, either by Advance and the bigger organizations, to change something on that? Thank you.
Who wants to go for it?
Well, I believe that we do reporting to the government about gender pay gaps. And I know in other countries that has to be published. And to the point that you made earlier about that having an impact on where people choose to go and work, that can have a big impact. I've heard from executive search agencies in the UK, for example, that actually people select the organisation that they are prepared to apply to based on, one of the factors is their gender pay gap reporting. So I think transparency, again, sorry to be boring, but it is the data, and the transparency can actually drive change.
And maybe to add here, we always kind of focused on equal treatment from recruiting through the promotion and also equal pay. But then we realized, yes, we can say it, management can say it, but it's more powerful if we really have a certification. That's why in 2018 we went for an external certification to just confirm that we really have that equal treatment through the kind of the career as well as the equal pay. And we do the recertification on a regular basis where also the statistics are done. So yes, here and there are cases, male and female, where we feel, or kind of the statistics say there is maybe a difference. And I think that helps. There is the law, which we all know in Switzerland, but you can also go as a company one step further and really go for an external certification. And I think that increases the pressure on the whole business community, and that is, again, one step further in the right direction.
And I think, Andy, here might be important to think about how do we bring the small and medium-sized enterprises into this bandwagon, because Switzerland is a country of small and medium-sized enterprises. That is a big part, I think 90% of the labor market. It's easier for us as a big corporations to do that. So how can we lead the way to small and medium-priced enterprises to follow the suit and follow the challenge? I think here is some more food for thought for the future.
Well, thank you very much. Can we do one last question?
To the audience or to another speaker?
Yeah, it's going to be a question right here. Yes.
Is it okay? Hi. Should I speak? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Sarah. I work at Parents at Work, actually. And I have a question, because you've been talking about equality, like equal pay, equal opportunities. What about equal benefits for parents? Because I think, if we work towards equality around parenting, would that not maybe take away the negativity about being a mother? And so I want to ask the panel, what are you doing about equality for parents in your organizations?
Yeah, I think the answer, it's more the answer than the question. The answer has two sides. I think one thing we really did progress the last years is on the consciousness side, on the side of mindset. We also have we don't have just educational trainings for how mothers can get back and to work, and how to handle motherhood. We also have it for fathers, and I think this really helps to get the mental model shifting from towards equality. I think where we have a step to go in Switzerland and also in a lot of enterprises is how are the conditions if you leave and come back, also on the financial side, but also on the mental trap that you have as an employer, that you don't suppose, and this was also the question I think before a bit, what is the salary when you come back? If a man comes back, you think, he wants to proceed his career. And if a woman comes back, do you really also think she wants to proceed her career, or is it just, okay, she wants to work a little bit? And there we have to progress more. There we are not where we should be at the moment.
Maybe one example, since we also have kind of a parents group, and working together with them to see what is really kind of challenging for them. So one change we introduced probably 2 years ago, looking now to Bettina, 2 or 3 years ago, as part of our parental leave was, parents were saying, it's a challenge to kind of come back. And now whether you come back with 60%, 80%, or 100%, or whatever you kind of decide because you have your setup, still that restart is a challenge timing-wise. So we said, let's do a support that we, say if someone comes back 100%, that, first months, first 2 months, 60%, and we as a company support to kind of give a relief with kind of the full payment, whatever then the percentage is, but then allow for a lower percentage to start for a short period. And that was kind of also what the parents said, that would be fantastic for them, that would be really a help. Would have been a help. And then it was also, we took the decision in our management team that we offer that to female and male. When we have a male parent and female work somewhere else, obviously, and whatever package they get, we offer that to the male as well. And I think this is just one example of trying to help and find new ways.
I think, just if I can add quickly, the Nordics are worth looking at, that compulsory equal paternity and maternity leave, so shared parental leave. I think the impact that is having both on attitudes across the organisation and within society is pretty phenomenal. So that would be something to consider.
Fully agree, and it's actually working quite nicely in Finland and Sweden, so at least that also I know. We do the same, Andy, that you said, so we offer the same what we offer, extended parental leave, flexibility at work, part-time work for our male colleagues as well, and encourage them to stay home also.
Well, with that, we're running out of time, unfortunately. Thank you very much, all of you, for that you joined us today and that you shared very openly your thoughts and how you work in your organizations. It was a pleasure having you here. Thank you very much.